Okay. And then that's what you use as resets for every time a new person is there, but it's like complimentary. So, yeah. Okay, so, we kind of talked about the athletic department already. Does anybody, you guys have any more questions about that?
No. Please.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the swim lessons. Okay, so, where do you want to start?
I don't really know what to say. There's usually like a 4-to-1 ratio of students to teachers.
Which is pretty standard now, at least for swim lessons.
Yeah, so they can all kind of keep track of the kids. They have a policy where basically you have to hang onto the wall until it's your turn to go work with the instructor, and they will divide up the tasks depending on how many teachers, how many kids, etc.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much just told to the kids, and then if they
they
don't follow
just
it,
know.
then their punishment is to sit up on the wall.
You can't be in the pool, you have to sit.
Right, just for safety. But the pool is pretty shallow on the one side, and pretty sure it's 3.5 feet, so most of the kids can stand, but they're just kind of bouncing up and down. So what I noticed, it's very chaotic, and there's people running around everywhere. The first day we were there,
There's also free swim going on at the same time. So you can only control your kids. You can't yell at the free swim kids. You can tell them not to. You know what I mean? But it's basically just chaos is going on at all times.
Yeah.
So that communication between the free swim people and the lessons is something that's kind of they just kind of know not to go over there. But sometimes people are running around, and their parents are in the room, so they want to go talk to their mom.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because for their free swim, that's always happening when swim lessons are going on, which I don't know why they did that, because that's so distracting for the kids who are in swim lessons. You're like, oh, what's going on over there? I want to play. I don't know.
Because they're just playing, and these kids are trying to learn how to do
swim.
the backstroke. And
Right.
Is there enough people for just lessons?
What do you mean?
Because if it's free swim and people are having lessons over here, is there enough for the entire pool to be just lessons or just free swim or something?
I think that would be ideal. I think it would be better if they had a designated time just for swim lessons and then a designated time
for just free swim.
Right, exactly.
A lot safer.
Right, yeah.
People would brainstorm.
Yeah. Separate free swim. And just because it's so very loud, and it's much harder for the instructors to talk with the kids and, like I said, keep their attention.
Right.
So the teacher-to-student communication gets really disrupted a lot. Since we're supposed to be communication.
Right.
And they kind of aren't.
So it's very chaotic. And then another thing we noticed, there's so much running, and which I know is not communication, but I feel like that there's a lifeguard on duty, and
she was not trying to get
She was a very weak lifeguard.
She was hey,
she was weak.
Hey, stop hitting the noodle.
Yeah, she was she used a lot of nonverbal communication. It was just kind of no. And the kids are 8 years old. If they're not going to respond, they're just going to be no, my mom's not yelling at me. I'm going to do whatever I want. So, that's a safety issue. Jordan and I were getting splashed, and we were in nice clothes.
Kind of bright.
Took her
hey,
5 times. My computer was almost destroyed because of all the splashing water that I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it was hard.
I think the lifeguards need to be a lot more.
Communicate better with the kids.
They need to be louder, and they need to be clear and concise, and they need to attack problems immediately. I'll just say they need to garage problems, disruptions immediately.
Are there any whistles?
They're not.
I feel like they probably had one, but they didn't
use it.
She didn't utilize it.
It's
ever.
pretty small though, so if I was a lifeguard, I don't think I would use it.
Yeah, me either, unless something crazy was
happening. If there were 10 children running, I would blow that whistle.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's something. And then let's see here. So we talked about being chaotic. Okay. So let's move on to our recommendation segment of the recording. So what are some areas that we should focus on for our main recommendations for Lakeshore? Go for it, Hamad. What do you think? Just do this up here. Okay, so.
Like our external communication.
Okay, so external communication. So when we talked to Lindsay about that, we asked her if she was involved with any of the marketing, and she said that primarily she just does, like, she makes the programs, and she, like, she communicates with her general manager, like, just over.
She has to just make sure that they're printed, like the stuff is
that they're
printed.
printed and like all the.
But she doesn't really do anything with it.
Right, she just kind of gets them ready and sets them out. So there's a lot of, there's more of, like marketing within the organization, rather than without, rather than outside.
Which is probably
But-
because you have to be a member to be in the aquatics.
Right.
So like get swim lessons or whatever.
Because you have
So
to be a member.
like the actual communication to the outside world is really difficult because you don't know how to target them to get them to pay all this money. Because that's a lot more money for swim lessons than it would be to do somewhere that you didn't have to pay like an initial fee to be a member.
District or something like
You know,
that.
like if you're just paying for swim lessons rather than like, why should you do it at Lakeshore where you have to commit to this huge
Right, it's like over $100.
deal? Yeah,
Exactly.
it's for like the whole family too.
Yeah.
So should we recommend for them to have non-members?
We were saying that maybe they should have like some sort of program
For just swimming.
where they can just, like people can just come in for that, you know, and like pay a different fee, obviously.
Like for non-members. Or they could just say, in general, you don't have to be a member, period, anymore to do the swim program.
Yeah.
And that they just, like, they can redo the pricing however they want to do it. And that way members can choose, hey, I want to do swim lessons.
So the word
hey, I
gets
don't.
out.
Yeah.
to the- other than that, like if they weren't willing to do this, like they could just, I mean, I think to get people to go to the aquatics program, they would have to just really market the whole Lakeshore. You couldn't just market the like aquatics. You would have to use the whole.
Yeah.
So market, they could even do like advertisements, like to the community that, like obviously the focus is Lakeshore, but they should zero in on like swim lessons as a department, be like,
Just make sure that's like mentioned.
right, market, Lakeshore, but like specifically focus on, the aquatics department. Right. So Lindsay was saying that some current methods that they're using is she has like an email list of parents that are already, like, who like have emailed her, like interested, or
Like
current
that are on
parents
the
so that-
roster, so they get
Exactly. She has a
all the
roster.
updates and their programs.
Has a roster, to email out to parents, like, coming up of like events and programs. Yeah, and I think Lindsay, because we mentioned this to her, and she said that one of the challenges was that because the facility is so small, and that's why they were kind of like
There's like a
skeptical.
limited amount of people that can.
Right, but we did also talk about how they don't really utilize that lab pool as much. So if they utilize that more and just got some more equipment, then they could expand their program. So though that's not communication, that could be something that like helps like build up the program so they can communicate out to the public.
Okay.
Okay. And then also, so Jordan was telling me about how Lindsay, of course, told us, and how when she restructured this, she really wants to implement a lot of new policies, but she
So
said
it's
she
kind of
had,
a mess.
right, she just said she had really, a lot of difficulty communicating that not only to her department heads, but also to the instructors and lifeguards and getting everybody on board. So,
Just like the communication and the implementation of the policies that she wants to use.
right, so I think it would be a really good idea if Lakeshore as a whole adopted some sort of online scheduling communicating program so that everybody has a Lakeshore email. If there's something going on in the whole, whole Lakeshore as a whole, everybody who works there is emailed about the policies. Everybody is staying updated, and that's something Autumn said to me. She said that the aquatics department is very separate from like the rest, so she never really knows what's going on. So I think
Especially if they had it on like their website.
yeah,
Like some sort of
unified
like what the policies are for paying late or
communication stream amongst all employees. Email accounts, scheduling, updates, programs, like advertisements, like that, those type of things. Oh yeah, procedures of course. Oh yeah, procedures, payments, like billing, or like, I don't know if that's what you mean by that. Like the employees getting paid.
no, I'm not like billing. It's
Yeah. So if there could be, yeah, so like that type of thing. I feel like that would be really good. That way everybody is on the same page. Cool.
thanks for joining us.
And then, I think this would also be, it's just a better way to communicate with everybody. So there's not like emails getting lost. All of their Lakeshore emails are on one account, so they're not, and that way there's a professional way for the parents to communicate with the instructors and that type of thing as well. So there's a lot of benefits that go with that.
Does Lindsay ever meet with her instructors, like, collectively? She meets with her supervisor.
Yeah.
There's no, like, really
A time where
team building
she
or
said she
anything.
talked a little bit about in-services, but I think that maybe could use some improvement too. There, which is where they do training.
Yeah, she said she wants to really build up her shadowing program and
Yeah.
for like the new employees to learn. So I think most of that basically happened like through that. Because swim lessons is like a different kind of service, sort of like what I do in my daily life, where like you don't work as a team, you work very individually, and like teamwork doesn't really matter besides getting everyone on the same page so they're doing the same techniques with the students. But like when you're actually working, you're by yourself.
Okay.
Like it's you and the student, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I don't know how much.
And like in
They
those
really need
in-services, there could be training days where they like go over CPR and like do different like exercises and activities and team building exercises, and then they could do another one that like specifically focuses on the policies and communicating those procedures just to the instructors and to the lifeguards.
That would actually be really good for us.
Yeah.
Like just sort of workshops.
Exactly, workshops, and then they could have other ones too where, they could talk about like new policies in general that Lindsay wants to, implement and like build up, and see if her instructors have any ideas, because I think the fact that the instructors are the ones who are hands-on with the kids, so they're the ones who like have to work with them, have the most experience, so I think they're hands-on, they're right there, they're gonna know what needs improvement and what doesn't. So we'll just say like new policies,
One of these could be
trying to get ideas
also.
from instructors.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Anything else with this?
No.
You don't? Okay. So then the last thing we'll talk about for today is our third point, and that is, I really noticed the language that the instructors use for communicating to the students during the swim lesson. So we'll talk about language, usage,
Especially at like the very You know that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Right, exactly. So, like, this is especially important,
For safety.
yeah, for safety, like, personal enjoyment.